have one of each.
I haven't read that one as yet, Raven.
Sorry.
Don't tell me that's a recipe.
Are you mad? They're ads for fur coats.
I might have known. Why in the world are you so fidgety this afternoon? You're nervous as a cat.
Well, it's my nature.
No comment. Where's Skylar?
Skylar went to see Derek Mallory on a useless errand.
What errand?
He is registering a complaint against Damian Tyler.
What sort of complaint?
He feels that Damian is persecuting him needlessly.
For heaven's sake. Damian Tyler seems like a perfectly pleasant, courteous young man to me.
Well, you're prejudiced in his favor because you once knew his father. You didn't meet Damian until recently, did you?
No.
You know, Fowler Wilcox's assistant, Jefferson Brown, did you ever meet him?
Not that I recall, no.
Tell me something, Geraldine. Do you think that Fowler Wilcox really stole those government documents?
For heaven's sake, how should I know? I'm simply not acquainted with the facts of that case. But if it's an emotional response you're asking for, no. I most certainly do not believe it.
All right, I've got no doubt you've already got a long list of complaints against Tyler, and that mine is just one more in a growing pile.
All right, Whitney, you've been blowing off steam now for the past 5 minutes, and I still don't know what the hell you're complaining about. What is your beef against Tyler?
First, he victimized Martine Duval. He followed her around like a bloodhound for some weird reason known only to himself. Now he is bothering my wife. Now, I am giving you and him fair warning. Either you control that sick puppy or you find him a kennel.
All right, you've made your point. But unless you have some specific charge against Tyler, let me suggest you keep your innuendos in check where they belong. In the meantime, I'll speak to him personally, see what I can do. That's all I'll promise you. Yes?
Excuse me, Chief. I have that suspect you wanted to see.
Yes, all right. I'll see him in a minute. As you can see, I have other demands on my time.
Yeah, in the service of law and order, no doubt. I will start in your own backyard, Mallory.
Fabulous.
Thank you. That'll be all. Miss Avery, the arresting officer tells me that you will speak to one person alone. Is that correct?
That's right. Dr. Miles Kevin.
Sit down.
Do I have to?
No.
Then I will.
Miss Avery.
I've been told you are the chief of police.
Correct.
Since I've explained to everyone that I'll only speak to Dr. Kavanaugh, perhaps you could explain to me what I'm doing here.
I've asked to see you. Dr. Kavanaugh is a personal friend of mine, as well as an associate of this department.
An associate?
He's a consultant on forensic medicine.
You mean he does autopsies?
Yes, sometimes.
How fitting.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
May I ask why you insist on speaking to Dr. Kavanaugh?
That's between us. I don't care to discuss anything with anybody else. I thought I'd made that clear.
Are you a patient of his?
Yes, I am.
I see. Miss Avery, are you kleptomaniacal?
I beg your pardon?
Kleptomaniac. Is it going to be your contention that you stole that bracelet from the jewelry store out of some sort of compulsion?
How clever you are. No wonder you're the chief.
Then it's true?
Yes. It was an uncontrollable impulse. I saw it right there, and then I just had to take it.
I see.
I can't be locked up if I'm ill, can I?
The law is lenient with people who steal because they can't help themselves. Kleptomania is recognized as a legitimate illness.
Well, then.
But let me be perfectly frank with you. In my career, I've seen maybe a dozen kleptos. And not a single one of them has ever stolen anything quite as valuable as a bracelet worth $5,000.
Well, I must have expensive taste. I guess you might call it another one of my compulsions.
Is Dr. Kavanaugh treating you for this condition?
I'm not going to say anything more until he gets here.
Well, then may I suggest that you may need a lawyer as much as a doctor. Is there somebody you'd like to contact?
No, I've already told you. Dr. Kavanaugh and nobody else.
I've got to have some background information on this story. Would you call it the newspaper, Morgan? Get names, dates, places, etc. You'll find information starting around 1977.
All right, Mrs. Kavanaugh. And what about the story on Senator Westby?
No, I've got to hold off on that for a little bit until I get a confirmation. Excuse me. Jody? What's the matter? Are you okay?
Did you see this story?
Which one?
The one on the closing of the Whitney Dance
Yes,
Company.
I did. God, what a shame. After so much talent and energy and money right out the window, after such a great beginning.
All those dancers out of work, that's what worries me.
Well, I guess Sky Whitney just couldn't see his way clear to keep it open after losing two of his principal dancers, one right after the other.
Cute. Very cute. But you and I both know that I could have never been a principal dancer for that company.
Of course you could have. It was just circumstances.
Yeah, thanks, but I know better. Anyway, it doesn't look like there's going to be any jobs for any dancers in Monticello. Not that it matters to me. My dancing enthusiasm is just about dead. I could bury my dancing shoes and never think about it again.
That is only temporary, I'm sure.
No, it isn't. I mean it. The day that Gavin disappeared, all my ambition did, too.
Kavanaugh residence.
Oh, hello, Nora. This is Dr. Kavanaugh. May I speak to my wife, please?
One moment, doctor. It's your husband, Mrs. Kavanaugh.
Good. Thank you. Hi, darling. How are you?
I'm fine, sweetheart, but I am on the run at the moment.
Oh?
Yeah, just a slight complication. I will preface it with an apology.
Oh, dear. Now what?
Well, I won't be able to pick you up at home for that early dinner we have planned. I have to see a patient.
Where? At the hospital or at your office?
Neither. Have to go to police headquarters.
You have to see a live patient at police headquarters?
That's right.
Isn't that a little irregular? Well, who is he?
Not he, she. It's Jinx Avery.
Jinx Avery, that's the actress. What on earth is she doing at police headquarters?
I'm not sure yet. She seems to be in trouble with the law, and apparently she has to see me. Derek tells me that she refuses to make a statement until I arrive.
Well, if you hold the key, Dr. Kavanaugh, I guess you have to go.
It's just one of those things. Again. Look, I know you understand.
Oh, sure, honey, I understand. It's just, one of those things. Oh, honey, that's okay. You go ahead and meet Miss Avery, and then I'll meet you at the restaurant. I'll get dressed now and be there in about an hour so that I can get a table because it's always so crowded. Okay. Bye-bye. Oh, Nora, I'm going to be leaving for dinner in about an hour, so why don't you just finish that up and go on home yourself?
Well, there's nothing much I can do here anyway. I think I'll leave too, yeah.
Oh, and just leave all these cups. Mrs. Goodman will clean them up.
I will get that. Hello? Oh, hi, Calvin. It's for me.
Okay.
Gavin, where are you? Are you all right?
I'm at the bus station, Jody. I spent the night here.
Bus station? That's awful. That place is too public. Honey, you've got to get out of there.
I almost did. I have a ticket for Los Angeles in my pocket, but I started to get on that bus, and suddenly I couldn't do it. I realized I just couldn't put that many miles between us, Jody. Not now. I don't care what happens. I just know that I have to see you and talk to you one more time.
Just tell me where to meet you at Listen, buy one more ticket, okay? Because I'm going with you.
Or at least I believe I thought so at the time. More realistically, I suppose those days were not any better or any worse than they are today. I go back to Washington on occasion just to hear the wheels of government turning. Those wheels are still a bit creaky, I'm afraid. But thank heavens, they're still turning just the same.
Well, you must have met some really fabulous people in Washington.
On occasion. And some not so fabulous.
Like Fowler Wilcox?
Well, I wouldn't put him in either category. As I said, I didn't know him very well. But I do remember him as a hard-working, dedicated civil servant and a very nice man.
What is it exactly you remember most about him?
Not that much, really. It's hard to remember now. Those occasions when we were in his company. The social scene in Washington becomes a blur of cocktail parties, dinner parties, receptions, handshakes, faces. It's hard to distinguish after a while. Strange. However, I do remember Fowler Wilcox in a rather poignant situation and not a ceremonial one.
Oh, really? What was that?
Well, it happened right here in this house, as a matter of fact, at a dinner party I gave. Fowler Wilcox was invited, and he came alone without his wife. I can remember that I left the guests in the dining room for a few moments and went into the study for something or other. Then I saw one of the guests standing by the French windows. It was Fowler Wilcox. At first, I thought he had simply wanted to escape the noise and banter in the dining room, perhaps looking for momentary seclusion. He was half turned away from me, and suddenly, he put his face in his hands and began to weep. My first impulse was to go to him, but then I realized I was an intruder, witnessing a terribly private moment. I learned later that his wife was desperately ill. In any case, it was that heartbreaking moment that I remember most about Fowler Wilcox.
Well, that's very sad, but a grown man crying at a social event, that must have been very embarrassing.
On the contrary, it was very touching.
All the same, I think it's an indication that he was unstable. Don't you think? He must have been unstable.
The law in this town is like a private club, Spencer.
How is that, Mr. Whitney?
They all know each other. They all protect each other. It's like a tight little clique. That's what it is.
How so, sir?
You want to know the reason that Gavin Wiley hasn't been caught yet? It's because of a chain that links the chief of police to his friend, Dr. Kavanaugh, to his sister-in-law, young Jody Travis, to Mr. Wiley himself, who just so happens to be the young woman's lover. And as for this Damian Tyler...
What about him, Mr. Whitney?
Nothing.
I ran into Damian Tyler last night. He talked to me about his father. Sky, you told me that his father had stolen an important document, that he was the traitor. But Damian thinks that you, Jefferson Brown, was the guilty one.
Yes, Doctor. You did the right thing to call. Just tell her I'll be home as soon as possible. Oh, come in, Jeff.
Anything else I can do for you before I leave, Mr. Wilcox?
No. There was no necessity for you to stay this late, Jeff. Somehow I have to finish reading these reports from the Defense Department. I haven't gotten to them. I have to have them in my head by tomorrow morning.
Those reports are never-ending, aren't they?
No. These are particularly important. The President wants me in his office to discuss them first thing in the morning.
You certainly can't refuse that request.
It's not just a polite invitation. It's an order. I have to get home as quickly as possible.
Your wife, sir?
Yes. She's gotten worse, and I'm needed at home now. I have to go to her, Jeff. She's the most important thing in my life, and well, the Defense Department and the President will have to wait, that's all. It just can't be helped.
Why not take the papers with you?
That is all highly classified material. Not a page of it can leave this office. That's an unbreakable rule, Jeff. You should know that by now.
I'm sure it won't matter just this once. They'll be as secure in your briefcase as they'd be in your safe, and no one will know a thing about it. But you?
And you?
You can trust me.
Well, perhaps. Just this once. All right, then, God help me, I will. Oh,
here, Mr. Wilcox, let me help you with that.
Thank you. I'm too upset to think or function, I guess. Thanks, Jeff.
There we are, sir. Safe as can be. And don't worry.
Thank you, Jeff. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Wilcox.
Anybody else, not even a lawyer, just her doctor, you.
All right, I'll see if I can handle it.
Good luck, amigo.
What took you so long?
What happened, Jinx?
I thought you'd never ask.
Now, look, I made a considerable effort to get here as fast as I could to try to bail you out of trouble. I would appreciate a straight answer.
Sorry.
Well, I repeat, what happened?
Well, nothing much, really.
Nothing much? You're sitting here at police headquarters charged with a serious crime. You tell me nothing much happened?
All right. I was just walking down the street, minding my own business, window shopping, really. And I went by a jewelry store and decided to go in. And there I saw it, an emerald and diamond bracelet. Suddenly I realized that I'd never owned anything so beautiful, and I thought, well, why not take it? I mean, what can they do to me, really? In my case, a life sentence would only be about 3 months, wouldn't you say? Anyway, I thought it was a practical way of looking at things. My big mistake was, I turned out to be a pretty poor crook. Well, just an amateur. So, you see, Dr. Kavanaugh, that's what I'm doing here.
Yes, and you seem to find it very amusing. Don't you realize you're in big trouble?
Well, how come? You came to bail me out.
And how do you expect me to do that?
All you have to do is tell the police that in your considered medical opinion, I'm suffering from an acute attack of kleptomania. I mean, I'm a classic case, wouldn't you say? And then I'm home free.
I can't do that, Jinx.
You mean to say that you'd let them put me in prison just because you're too chicken to tell them a tiny white lie? Could you just sit by and watch me spend my last days in a prison cell?
No, I'll try to make sure that doesn't happen, but I will tell them the truth, that there were mitigating circumstances.
Don't you dare do that. You swore to me that you wouldn't tell one person in this world that I don't have much time left. Not one. Now, you have to promise to keep that promise. You have to.
All right. I won't tell them the truth. If you promise not to do anything crazy like this again, if you keep your promise, I'll keep mine.
You have to understand. I just have a little bit of time to get out of life what I want.